It's Talk Funny, a podcast by Mark Bailey and other comics from all over. We came to Japan because we would rather take our chances eating the blowfish here than to risk eating fresh delicacies from China. The Talk Funny podcast from NagoyaRadio.com and Nagoya Comedy. Here's Mark Bailey.
Welcome back to Talk Funny. I'm Mark Bailey and Mike Miller's here.
Hi.
This is hard for the listeners, but Mike, you can see it's a very cluttered place because I've had to basically do a Berlin airlift from my house. It's been 5-6 months ago. Last year for Christmas, do you have a good vacation, good Christmas
it was great.
season? New Year's, we have about 4 or 5 days off.
Yeah, hung out a lot and just with friends.
I was moving all my stuff because my wife has this Maria Kondo, I'm going to track you down and kill you. Hello, Patreon. Mike Miller at yahoo.com. Maria Kondo is saying basically if something doesn't spark joy, you can throw it away. Maria Kondo, you have to include, it has to be your stuff. You can't do it to other people. Yeah. Mike, I don't really care for this bag you brought.
Yeah.
Of yours. It doesn't spark joy for me. I'm going to throw it away.
Your books don't spark joy for me, Mark.
You know, you're all,
not
much in your apartment sparks joy for me. I think I'll get rid of all of it.
Yeah.
No, I think it needs to be your things. Short version is my wife, I'm still working during this Christmas and everything. 22nd, 23rd. It's very busy. Deadlines for tax
and
business tax deadlines.
This year as well, we didn't have that December 23rd holiday. We used to have
because of the Olympics. No,
because of the Olympics, because the emperor changed.
The emperor changed.
So why did they decide? I thought they were kept adding holidays in Japan. Why did they decide to not make that a holiday?
I thought the emperor came from the sun. Why does he have to step down? Did the sun step down? Don't we still have the sun?
Actually, the sun became the emperor.
It's just like I said in my act. You know, at the Family Mart, which is xenophobic and anti-foreigner, they don't have tiramisu. They have amaterasu, the desserts. You know, and she came from the sun. You know, but what? It's kind of like the Pope. The Pope quit. Doesn't God? When the Pope quits, isn't that death? God says, you're done.
It's not. Okay. Hello, Black fan crowd.
It's like,
hello, Patreon.
The Pope quits and God's like, oh, no, you didn't.
You don't quit until I say you quit.
Who knew God was black? Oh, no, you didn't. Hello, Patreon. Mike Miller at yahoo.com. So paint the picture. A friend of ours has a Christmas party, and I didn't have time to go to it, but I didn't want to diss him. So before it opened, you call this guy we had no names. So you call this guy kind of a white separatist kind of guy.
Oh, that guy. Well, he didn't have the party, but it was the
no, but he was there.
Yes. Call him. Maybe we should call him. What should we call him? Goebbels. One minor. Spencer.
You meet him in person, he's just salt of the earth, nice enough guy. Mm-hmm. And you get to talking to him, it's like, you know, I got a plane to get on. I hope it crashes.
I'm flying Malaysian Airlines into the Pacific.
Do you want to go to Australia? I'm going to send you to Australia. It's like, you know, I don't want to talk to this guy. This guy, why am I talking to this guy? With me, it's not that. I didn't get that with him. But I talked to him at the place I work at with him, and he does this passive-aggressive thing where you're seated at a table and you're waiting for your class to start. You know, maybe you have your folders, whatever, and trying to figure out what you're going to do for class. 2 minutes before class starts. And he stands up, and he's got all these copies, and he's copying like 500 copies, and then 30 different stacks, and it takes up the whole table. It's just total passive-aggressivism. And he's standing, and he looks down at you, and he's talking to you, and he asks you, hey, so we're off next week, right, Mark? And I'm just thinking, this is passive-aggressive. Why are you standing and talking down to me, literally talking down to me? I read this book in the 80s, and it basically had to deal with pushy people. And they said, you know...
Yeah, that was a great one. The difficult people one.
Yeah, I think something like that.
How to deal with difficult people.
And you can spot them. Look at a picture. The guy who's standing... This happens with bands. Look at the lead singer. He's always standing taller than the other musicians every time. And he's in the front. And that's a narcissist kind of thing. Yeah. He's standing and talking. So I have this thing where if I'm seated and you walk up to me, and it's a power move thing, and you talk to me, I'm going to stand up and talk to you.
I get it, yeah.
So he said, when are we off next week? And I stood up and I said, you want to talk to me? Why don't you sit down? I was seated when you addressed me, and he said, hey. You know this guy, right?
Yes, I know this guy very well.
And I said, what you did is kind of passive-aggressive. So I said, I know you didn't mean anything from it. He's from the Midwest. Probably wasn't his intention, but I said, I've really morphed into Larry David. I said, also, I just have Larry David's voice in my head. You see how this broadcast desk that we have, our table that we sit at is twice this width and the same length. And it's filled with all of his copies. Now, I've worked at this place for 28 years. I've never made one copy. I've saved this university so much money.
Yeah.
And he's costing them money all the time. Ink and toner is expensive here, and paper. and electricity, just all power. It's just megalomania.
Would you say perhaps white power?
Yeah, well, all the papers. Funny you should mention. Ask me what color the paper was. What color was the paper?
What color was that paper?
White! What other color would
What
it
does
be?
he have against brown paper?
There's nothing even put in it. There's no black
Gray
on the paper. It's black paper, and he's copying it. He's just making more whites. And he said, you got to be careful, because if you put too much black on it, it bleeds into the white.
Oh.
So
we don't want that to mix. We don't
but
want
I've never had the racist conversation with him or whatever, that separatist thing, but it's just the power move thing. And I said in a nice way, and I said, you're not going to pick up on this, but I said, I have pushy dar. So if you're pushy to me, I react to it, and I don't like it. And I don't have to work with you. You know,
you're from New York, so you're used to dealing with that kind of
we're
stuff.
We're colleagues, and I said, it's just my advice, don't do that with other people. But he goes, I'll do what I want. And I said, but you're not going to do it with me a second time. I said,
I'll do that.
There won't be
do
a second
what I
time.
Want. Whoa.
So he did it the next week. So he said, hey, are these all your papers? I said, so they seem to be separated. You put a lot of effort into that. He goes, yeah, that one's for the right part. Oh, you did a lot of work for the right. So, no, that's for the right part of my classroom.
And this is for the far right part of my classroom.
This is for the far left. And
far left, we just
and
get
poison is
the
for the left. Those are poison. And then this is for the center, and these are for the girls, and this is for the guys, and this is for first year, and this is for second year. And I said, wow, you put a lot of work into that. And our university paid a lot of money for that. But I told you last week, putting papers all over the table where nobody can sit at the table.
Yeah, it's our
I said, that's kind of pushy, and so is this. And I pushed all of his crap onto the floor. And he's standing up, and I stood up, and I said, so next week, when I come in, there's not going to be papers on this table.
Well done. Some of you may not know Mark is a pretty tall and imposing man when he wants to be.
But I don't like to be pushed. It's like, you pushed me 3 times. I go, that was funny, Mike.
Yeah.
Don't push me again.
Yeah.
4th time.
Yeah.
I said, don't push me.
Yeah.
10th time, we're going to have a problem. I told you 9 times.
Yeah.
So I said, I don't know what you're doing, but you guys, and a guy that I mentioned, his name starts with P, and we talked about him, and you like him more than I do. I've had to call him out on a few things, but I have to call out everybody, and I have to kind of say, look, we're all contractors here.
Yes.
I don't work for you. You don't work for me. I don't even have to be in this teacher's lounge. But I've been here for 28 years. I was here first. Just don't be a dick.
Important rule in life. Don't be a dick.
In the lounge. If you talk to me, we met him. We had a picnic.
Yep.
He was at our picnic. And he said, well, you had no problem talking to me at the picnic. And I said, yeah, you weren't standing up. I said, if you were standing up talking to me at the picnic, I would have pushed you off the tarp. Mm-hmm. You know, what are you doing? Your groin is in my face. Isn't that kind of aggressive? What are you doing?
I don't know. I think he's been reading a lot of that stuff. It's funny because, like, a couple of months ago, I did a bit in one of my stand-up sessions about, I have a friend who's a white nationalist and all this stuff. And I think a lot of people thought that I was just, maybe being a woke guy who was responding to, And I was like, no, this is an actual guy I know, and that's why I'm doing it. And that's the guy I was joking about, because I met him at a party, which, cherry blossom party in Japan. And then he said, I think I might be a white nationalist. And so now he's like he's like the black sheep of Nagoya in a way, because nobody really wants to hang out with him.
It's ironic that he's black.
He's like Dave Chappelle in that skit, remember?
It's like, remember...
He didn't know. He's blind. He doesn't know.
So this guy, I'm just catching him basically on manners. I'm just calling him. 3 weeks in a row, don't stand up and address me. And he goes, well, I have to stand up because I'm busy. I'm doing things. And I said, fine. When you want to talk to me, if you have a question, you can sit down and talk to me.
Sure.
But don't talk to me when you're standing up.
I think it's like a subliminal thing. He's picked up from reading all that trash.
And it's not because he's a white separatist, but Hitler was a little pushy. Don't you think? Would you agree? Little push, annexing the Sudetenland.
Yeah,
a little aggressive.
Just a little.
Hitler, I'm just going out. Sorry, white people, but Hitler was a little aggressive.
He had some problems,
What was the thing that somebody said?
They love him though in Eastern Europe now. They're all like, "Oh, hey, let's forget about that stuff." It's like, what the hell, people? What is wrong with you?
I was talking about this party. He's going to be there, and then I didn't want to meet whose name is P, which you get along with better. But I have to work with this guy.
I don't know the guy that well.
He's basically.
I see him like once a year these days.
Who's the mailman in Cheers, and he knows everything.
Cliff Clavin.
Cliff Clavin, that's him. I'll say, well, I'm not sure.
He does know everything though.
Yeah.
Mark. You have to
a friend of mine, a Canadian guy, he said, I've never been to this guy's party. Should I go to the guy's? It's not this. This is a friend of ours. There's nothing wrong with the guy whose party. It's just he's a nice guy. And
he's a nice guy. He invites everybody. So that's what's interesting about the parties.
He's the Joe Rogan of party throwers.
Yeah, he is.
And so I was telling him, well, the passive-aggressive guy is going to be there, and then P is going to be there, the know-it-all. And I said, when I talk about it, I don't think I want to go to this party. So I went early, and I left 2 pizzas. Yeah. But the guy who throws the party, he makes latkes just for me. I mean,
Which
for me
are
and
awesome.
him.
They're really good.
Yeah,
tasty.
they're really good. And he makes them for me because he wants to make it Hanukkah/Christmas.
Yeah.
I have to go.
He's got a little menorah
Goes
there.
to a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I have to go, and he takes it personally if you don't come. So I went before it opened, and all the bad guys were there before the party started. And they were all there.
Doesn't that suck when the worst people come early?
Yeah.
They were gone by the time I was there. And I wouldn't say the worst people. I think they're genuinely good people, but like we were talking about before, there's plenty of nice people in the world who have horrible ideas. You know what I mean? Like, they're very nice to you in person, but then you ask them what they think about something, and you're like, oh,
But also, if you read your job description for a part-time university teacher, it says you sign in in that room. It doesn't say you have to sit at the table and talk to people or like them.
Right.
And I kick myself all the time, but I've been there for 28 years. You have to have somewhere to decompress.
You do.
You're walking up this giant hill, actually. And then, and you want to decompress, you just want to have some coffee and shut up.
A lot of people don't understand this about teaching, is that teaching is, in a way, it is like kind of stand-up comedy, but imagine doing stand-up comedy all day in front of a crowd who didn't want to come to your show, who don't like your material, and who have to be there.
And they heckle your boss,
That's
not
right.
you. They heckle to your boss. And, I have this thing where you'll get these surveys. Oh, why do you let the patients fill out surveys? I mean, you don't let patients critique doctors. You don't hear people talking about how much they know about health when they're in hospital. You're in a hospital. You're sick.
Yeah.
What do you know about being healthy? You get these surveys, and the Japanese students, people don't understand this, but Asian students in general have been taught that if you ask a teacher a question, it makes the teacher lose face. Not for us. We want it. But Asian teachers are led to believe that if a student asks a question, it's because the teacher didn't make it obvious.
They didn't explain well
enough.
enough.
You're pointing out something that the teacher failed. But we're teaching languages, so I just explained the test. Mike, you understand the test is next week. You understand? Yeah. You don't lie, because if you don't understand, tell me now.
Yeah.
You don't tell me next week, I didn't understand what we're doing. It's like trying to convert to Judaism, 3 times. I'm going to ask you 3 times. You really want to be a Jew? Yeah, I do.
You sure?
You really want to join Judaism? Yes, I do. You want to be Jewish? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. You really want to? Yes.
Sure?
Are you sure? Yeah, enough already. You were a Jew. And so they fill out the questionnaires and they say, it's a speaking class. I liked what the teacher did, but I wanted to speak more.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, please.
You spoke plenty, by the way. You spoke Japanese the whole time. Remember when I had giant letters? Think in English, ask in English?
Yeah.
Speak in English?
Some universities.
Remember in English?
Some universities have signs, like there's a university that maybe where they have in a lounge where they have stickers that say English only to practice, for people to practice.
See something in English? Say something in English.
Exactly.
See something, say something.
Yeah.
But I wanted to speak more to my classmates. Go ahead. Did I put a straitjacket on you?
Yeah.
You were free to do that. I'm sorry you didn't do that.
Excuse me, what is your major?
English? What does that have to do with it?
Wow.
Why do you
might
ask?
have to speak some English.
Why did you ask me that in English? And it's like, well, I wanted to participate more in class. Well, you should have. But I didn't. Well, you should have. Why is that on my survey?
Yeah, what's it on?
The cop stopped me for speeding. I wanted to confess to murder. Well, you should have. Because the Olympics.
Well, what is it they say now? Yeah, because the Olympics. What is it they say now? They say that the brain doesn't fully mature until, was it 25 or something?
Yeah, 23, 25.
23, 25. So I think that explains a lot of it. These kids coming into university, they're legally adults. Well, in Japan, not really, because in Japan it's 20 years old, you're an adult. But, they're still working things out. You know what I mean?
Well, I think Japanese are able to speak their mind and think like adults. I think it's age 108 or something.
Then they don't care anymore. The thing about Japan is that you're subject to all of these social strictures and things until you become like a grandma or grandpa, and then you don't care anymore. And then those are the people who will actually tell you the truth, Like, if you want to know something, they'll tell you what they feel.
That's been our time. This is Mark Bailey with Mike Miller. Thanks for listening to Talk Funny, guys.